My name is Tina and I will be introducing and moderating today's session. The topic of today's webinar is Planet Youth in New Brunswick. Please note the views and opinions expressed as part of this presentation are those of the presenters and not necessarily representative of our funders or other organisations. Acknowledged. So I would now like to introduce our presenters for today's session. Erin Kelly is a public health professional with expertise in community engagement and upstream health promotion and disease prevention. She is the program lead for the Planet Youth pilot project in New Brunswick, focusing on collaborative, community-driven change that aims to address youth substance use. Danielle French is a public health professional who began her career in 2021 with the Government of New Brunswick's Public Health Branch. Currently, Danielle serves as the Planet Youth Pilot Project Coordinator, where she is supporting initiatives in upstream prevention and community-led change that addresses preventing and delaying substance use among youth. Jeannie Duguay is a public health nurse with Vitalité Health Network in the Acadienne Peninsula of New Brunswick. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, obtained in 2007, and practiced emergency nursing for over 13 years before reorienting her career towards public health. She is currently working as a population health nurse, where she contributes to various strategic initiatives, including harm reduction. She is also the co-lead of the Planet Youth pilot project for the Acadienne Peninsula site. Vanessa Couturier has a background in social work and has been working in public health since 2019. She is a health promoter with Vitalité Health Network Public Health. Since 2024, she has been responsible for substance use prevention among youth in her home region, the Chaleur region. I will now invite Erin and Danielle to begin their presentation.
Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for having us. As Tina shared, my name is Erin Kelly, and I work with the Government of New Brunswick, and I'm presenting with my colleague Danielle French, and we both represent the Provincial Planet Youth Coordination Team, and we support the Planet Youth sites in the work of implementing the Planet Youth model in New Brunswick. Next slide. Before we begin, we would like to respectfully acknowledge that New Brunswick is situated on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Wolastoqey, Mi'kmaq, and Pescatomagotti peoples. We seek to repair and rebuild meaningful relationships with Indigenous people and honor these lands which hold the hopes of future generations. Next slide, please. We also want to acknowledge the two most recent webinars in the CAPE webinar series, Webinar 6, presented by our Saskatchewan colleagues, and Webinar 7, presented by our colleagues from Nova Scotia. These insightful presentations both highlighted the importance and complexity of community-level prevention work. We heard about the Northern Alcohol Strategy in Saskatchewan, inspired by Harold Johnson's book Firewater, and how communities are developing community alcohol management plans. And from Nova Scotia, we learned about the winding journey they have taken to support municipal alcohol policy development, with a spotlight on the experience of the town of Wolfville. And one of the impactful messages conveyed in both presentations was showing how community readiness shapes progress, and importantly, how to listen to community and respond in a manner that helps a community move up the readiness continuum. These experiences strongly resonate with the work we are doing with Planet Youth in New Brunswick, though the model differs in its primary focus. Next slide, please. It's important to understand that Planet Youth sits within a broader model of upstream prevention depicted by the health impact pyramid shown here. So Planet Youth, for most actions, they should aim to make a difference for whole communities rather than a select few individuals. And that's why most Planet Youth actions should fall within the lower half of the pyramid, shaping environments and addressing socioeconomic factors that promote health. This includes assessing and addressing policy changes at the federal, provincial, municipal, and organizational level to help shape these environments. It's true that education and awareness do play a role, certainly when you consider the need to build community readiness and adopt change, but such action work should not be the only focus of a Planet Youth action plan. Next slide, please. So Planet Youth is an upstream prevention approach adapted from the Icelandic prevention model, which has been used in Iceland for over 20 years with strong results in reducing youth substance use. The focus isn't on one substance. It's about delaying substance use overall. And delaying use matters in this population because it supports healthy brain development, it reduces long-term exposure, and it helps shift what feels normal in daily life. Planet Youth itself isn't a single program. It is a 10-step process that is community-led, and the 10 steps you see in front of you on the slide. It usually takes about 2 years to move through the steps, and then these steps are repeated again and again. And it's through this repetition that an evolution and strengthening of prevention efforts take hold. An important aspect of the model is the step of coalition development. Coalitions development is not a one-time activity in Planet Youth, it's built into the model. So coalitions themselves are expected to revisit membership regularly, build capacity continually, and keep community engagement active as part of the process. So a strong Planet Youth coalition will bring together people from multiple sectors, including education, mental health, justice and public safety, recreation, local municipalities, Indigenous partners, nonprofit organizations who support and service families, children, and youth. And in addition, a very important group engaged in this work are youth themselves. So using local data and lived experience, these coalitions shape action plans. These groups, coalitions, are well positioned to communicate evidence to decision makers and advocate for healthier community environments, including policy change. This becomes especially important when looking at alcohol policy. So through the survey data that's collected by Planet Youth and community feedback, Planet Youth coalitions in New Brunswick are gaining a clearer understanding of how alcohol is normalized in daily life, particularly around children and youth. They are seeing it through increased family access, alcohol-based fundraising, and routine exposure at community events. Next slide. The community coalitions, when they're doing their work, they aim to strengthen protective factors across specific environments where children and youth live, learn, work, and play. This is the Planet Youth model. This includes the family environment or the family setting, the school environment, the peer environment, and the leisure and recreation environment. There's also aims to target the community spaces and settings where young people spend their time. And it's in these environments that we all know that norms develop, belonging can be supported, and opportunities are shaped. In addition, we also are recognizing the digital environment as an influential layer that intersects all of these domains. So considering the digital layer for us is increasingly important as it shapes social interactions, access to information, and daily routines. Next slide, please. So there are 4 communities involved in the pilot project for Planet Youth New Brunswick. It's the town of Woodstock, the city of St. John, the Regional Service Commission area of Acadienne-Peninsula and Alnwick, and the Regional Service Commission area of Kent. And you'll see here we have Chaleur and Northwest listed. Chaleur is here today to share some information. They're not formal pilot communities in terms of our pilot project, but they are communities who have stepped into the Planet Youth process as partners with Planet Youth Iceland on their own. So we stay connected with them to ensure that we're sharing and building on each other's experiences as this work evolves across the province. On this slide, you can see the names of the individuals leading the implementation. They're co-leading or leading the coalitions in terms of the Planet Youth process. But we want you to know and appreciate that there are many, many people on the ground who are contributing to this work. And at our last count, we counted about 140 individuals from across sectors involved in implementing Planet Youth through our coalition pilot communities. I'm going to pass the next bit of information on to my colleague, Danielle, who's going to share some data that we've collected through this work in New Brunswick.
Thanks, Erin, and hello, everyone, and thanks for welcoming us here today. So we just wanted to highlight some of the key findings from the 2025 Planet Youth Survey as it relates specifically to alcohol use. So across our 4 pilot sites, the data has shown patterns of early initiation and relatively easy access for alcohol when it comes to youth. So 27% of students reported trying alcohol at the age of 13 or younger, with rates higher among females in the pilot sites. And you can see here that Chaleur's data is similar in this aspect. 16% reported being drunk in the last 30 days. 30% indicated that when they drink, it most often occurs in their own home, and 40% said that they obtain alcohol from a family member. So here we can see higher numbers for Chaleur, with 70% indicating that when they drink, it's most often in their own home, and 50% say that they obtain alcohol from a family member. And then overall, 32% of the youth in the pilot sites and 29% in Chaleur reported having been drunk at least once in their lifetime. Next slide, please. These survey results show that most youth view substances as harmful, particularly vaping and smoking, while only 49% perceive alcohol as harmful. So this demonstrates clear opportunities for targeted prevention work, especially around alcohol. And findings from Chaleur were similar in this aspect, as youth rated alcohol as significantly less harmful than the other substances listed. Participation in structured adult supervised activities is often associated with protective effects. And as you can see on the graph on the left, youth involved in out of school activities are less likely to report being drunk in the past 30 days. Sports participation can also be protective, but it really depends on the sport culture, the coaching values, and the team norms. So the graph on the right shows that youth who participate in a team or club sport more than 3 times a week report higher rates of recent drunkenness than those who participate in less or not at all. So at the same time, these youth who participate in sport are less likely to vape or use cannabis, reinforcing that alcohol is often perceived as less harmful than the other substances. And so all of these findings together highlight opportunities to strengthen the protective factors within sports settings. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, structured adult supervised activities provide young people with positive role models, supportive peer groups, and safe places to spend their time. We also know that inclusive and easy to access recreation and leisure environments play a huge role in youth well-being and can help prevent substance use. Our survey data has shown that about half of the youth in the pilot sites are not involved in organized sports, and 1 in 4 are not participating in any organized activities outside of school at all. So because of this, all 4 of our pilot sites are prioritizing activities and actions on their action plans within the leisure domain. So on the slide here, you can see that across communities, sites are implementing actions such as creating youth-designed public leisure spaces, reducing financial barriers to art, culture, and sport activities, expanding access to safe, supervised sites through recreation cards, and supporting coaches and volunteers to create more positive environments. Together, these actions help young people feel connected in these spaces, supported by the adults that are leading these activities and engaged, which reduces the likelihood of substance use. I will now hand the presentation over to Jeannie Duguay, who is one of the co-leads from the Acadian Peninsula pilot site, and she will provide a more in-depth picture of what Planet Youth work looks like in the community.
Merci beaucoup, Danielle. Planète Jeunesse Péninsule acadienne, c'est une coalition locale qui vise à prévenir la consommation de substances chez les jeunes en agissant en amont sur
We
les environnements.
try to act in the environment where the youth grow. Alcohol consumption is a big problem with impact on health and mental health integration and at school as well. This presentation will talk about alcohol policies in the to help youth in our region.
Le site Planète, Jeunesse, Péninsule, acadienne-Alnwick se trouve au nord-est de la
Our
province du
site is in the northeast of New Brunswick and covers the schools Caraquet, Tracadie, Miigwech, and Shippagan, where we have French-speaking communities in general and a First Nation as well. Our survey data are collected among students in grade 10th, but the actions are for all community members. Our coalition is made of professionals from different areas and community members, and also workers in social work, mental health, municipalities, family services, libraries, community agents, youth centers, and other sectors as well. Our coalition adopted an ambitious vision for 2025. We have done many activities in the area to protect the youth in our communities. They try to reduce the risk factor as well as preventing upstream. Here is an example, the 2025 Sports, Recreation and Culture Forum, and we will try to launch this forum this year as well to increase consultation between local actors and collaboration at all levels of government, as well as with our volunteers, to increase the wellness of our youth and to prevent some public health challenges. The forum helps to develop dynamic communities that are also inclusive and adapted to local realities. Feed Our Sports. This is a promotional campaign to encourage healthy eating habits among youth people. We want to improve the availability and quality of food options at local sports facilities. So offering diversified menus to buy kitchen tools and to promote healthy life habits. The Parent Power booklet is a little booklet that shares learnings and emphasizes the power parents hold. It gives simple, effective tips to help guide children from elementary school towards a thriving adolescence. It talks about important subjects such as family time, screen time, bedtime, alcohol, drugs, and parents, as well as interests, leisure, and sports. Conversation is the best recipe. This is an initiative from Carte Loisir, and in a world where screens play such a big role, it's essential to remind young people and families to the importance of face-to-face interaction. So to bring conversation back to the heart of mealtimes. Youth Recreation Card. It's for young people aged 12 to 18 to give them access to activities while reducing different barriers, namely financial. The initiatives we talked about are only a small part that the coalition is doing throughout the year. Other actions and activities are deployed through the area. And there's also a more discrete but essential dimension of our work is in the championship. And through that, we try to influence environment and practices to better help the youth and children. And this has helped us to better protect the youth. And it also has shown challenges, structural challenges in our environments. While working with different parties, we see that the environments where the youth are evolving has a very important part in their development. One of the things that we regularly see is the important place that has alcohol in cultural, sports, and recreational context. And this is where we think broadly about local policies on alcohol so that all our prevention messages are more cohesive. Our forum that I talked about a little earlier and all that are other tools that we have created all try to create environment that help the development of youth. We also have important questions. So what messages are transmitted, given to children during these activities? What place alcohol play in those environments and contexts? It is with that kind of question that are anchored in reality that we can have a reflection about policies. When we talk about normalizing alcohol consumption, the results of our pilot project and what we see on the field shows that normalizing consumption is one of the major challenges in our area because many youths see that as normal and socially accepted, even often as something they need to do to grow. And this is not this is ingrained in the messages that the youth are exposed to every day. In the community, many practices contribute to normalizing, namely selling to adults and having alcohols through activities. We also see that many organizations support the sale and consumption of alcohol. All these practices are legal and they are also supported by financial reasons, motives. They are often linked to pleasure and the social acceptability and also political. Alcohol is really anchored in activities at the local level. So the municipalities, partners have to put together the reality of organizations and also the health of the population. There are not real framework clear around policies. Planet Youth and our coalition wants to collaborate and focus on data, not to ban alcohol, but to talk about it and to help different parties. All that to change the social norms with all of the parties involved. Changing policies means or needs to change social norms as well. And for that, we need to collaborate and have a commune vision. Planet Youth tries to create communities where the youth can strive.
Next slide, please.
Thank you very much. I will now give the microphone back to Vanessa. Hello, everybody. I will also speak in French. Before I start, You have seen my name here with Planète Youth Chaleur, but that is really a collaboration with the regional service Chaleur, with whom we actively work on the initiative. We are new in this Planète Youth adventure. I want to talk to you about what we want to do with municipality, and I will also talk about the context of the Chaleur area. As Erin and Danielle said earlier, our community is not part of the pilot project, and our adventure, our journey started in 2023. For us, we put together people to think about what we could do collectively and differently in terms of prevention amongst the youth. At this point, substance use was a priority in terms of public health. So very quickly, we saw that the Icelandic model was very interesting, and we started looking at their resources that were developed with the community of Leonard in Ontario that are pioneers really of the implementation in Canada. But we did not have any funding, and we wanted to help people in the community to partner with us and to do things differently. And we had an opportunity for funding a few months after founding our committee. And in 2024, we could launch Planète Youth in the Chaleur area. The survey of Planète Youth, that is really a big piece of the work that we do. And the results are a strong leverage to have conversations and think collectively about solutions and actions based on evidence. At first, we wanted to launch the survey at the same time as the other 4 pilot sites in New Brunswick, but we realized quickly that to create strong relationships, we had to slow down to build these relations based on trust and identify a good time to send the survey that would be best for the schools in our area. So the survey was distributed in November 2025, not in spring 2025. So this period of waiting gave us the opportunity to better understand the approach in prevention of substance use, to talk about also the initiative in the community. So we offered presentations during public assembly of the municipal councils and also in different sectors in the community to help understand the approach of Planète Youth, which is not always so easy to explain. So this period of waiting also helped us work to review the survey, to adapt it to our area. We worked with some youth, with the school district to review the questions, but also to plan on which day we would distribute the survey. We realized we had a lot of work to do to build trust amongst the youth.
Next slide, please.
So now we are sharing the results of our survey. We organize community events to bring together parents, tutors, youth, members of our community, but also we have presentation targeted with police, for example, children protection, mental health, and municipalities. youth take part in sharing the results as well. Recently, two youth from secondary school helped create messages for the radio, and they chose the data that they wanted to share on the radio. We created videos as well, and the youth are then the panelists during our community events. They really, really share what talks to them, what they can relate to in the results, and that helps create solutions for our community. The goal of the survey and these meetings is really to talk about use among youth and to make it a shared reality for all of our community. We want to hear concerns, but we also have conversations. We also say that we will create our action plan, as you saw what Jeannie was talking about, one of our action plan in Chaleur. But we also want to say that we want different sectors to be engaged in preventing alcohol and substance use. We want to inspire change. If our partner want to take action, we want them to know that we are there to help us, even if it's not part of our action plan. So thanks to Planet Youth, we have access to a national and international model. We can look at practices that are recognized that we can ourselves adapt to our local realities. We have started an uptick of championship by sharing the results in our community, and this will take another shape when we will share our priorities for the Chaleur area. So this is, we are at step 6 of the Icelandic prevention model. We haven't gone through the whole model yet. As Erin and Danielle said, and perhaps Jeannie as well, the question of the normalizing of alcohol is really present in the results of our survey. And the stats we talked about earlier in Chaleur Région, 51% of young people said their parents or guardians would not allow or would discourage alcohol consumption. And as for the province, we see a big gap compared to other substances like cannabis, which is at 83% and 85% for vaping. So we also see that there is a need to talk about alcohol in our community and also access.
Next slide, please.
So sharing the results of our survey coincides for us with the election period in our municipality, which is a great opportunity. As a few weeks ago, when we prepared this presentation, our goal was to meet each representative for the election. In our area, we talk about 3 municipalities and 1 rural district. So we rapidly found out when we saw the list of candidates that our initial plan was really ambitious and that we needed to have a plan B. And my favorite word is we pivot right now. So we invited all candidates personally to a community event that we will hold this Sunday to present the results of the survey through the voice of the youth in our community. We then will send them a presentation, a recorded one, more detailed with all the results of the survey and the roles and responsibilities that the municipality could possibly take on after the election. I also want to say here that this community and the recordings that we will use national recordings because that will really help us show examples and what's being done in other communities. And so this is very precious. This space here is very precious to us. Our goal is really to encourage our elected officials to work with us and to really be engaged. We believe in the power to create these working relationships first and foremost. And this is where we are right now. We realize that it takes a long time to create this relationship with our elected officials so that they can trust on our approach and our experience. We can't just presume that the elected officials understand our approach. For example, a counselor called me earlier this week to talk about a partnership that was, and then asked me to explain what was Planète Youth, and I had already presented to his whole council a few months ago. So it's important to repeat ourselves. Many times we have to go knock on their doors. We really want to start a beautiful collaboration and that our future elected officials come to us and our best practices, and that if we don't have all the responses, then all the answers, we can rely on our broader network. We will also present more details on normalizations this summer. So for us, it's essential to create these relationships with the municipalities so that policies are created that are reflective of our communities. And this is not a common practice to do this. So we also, as a group, have to work with the people around the table to develop skills and knowledge as well in terms of championing municipal policies. So this is all from me. If you would like to know what happened afterwards, after the municipal elections that will end on May 11th, please get in touch and it will be wonderful. We'll be happy to share experience. We're in the process right now, and I would also like to invite you to follow us on social media and visit our site web.